The name of the show is The Way to Go. My name is Alan Bendich. I'm going to be your host. Tonight's guest is an entrepreneur. He's a CEO, and he is my guest on The Way to Go, Mr. Frank Pesce.
Alan, thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you for coming on the show.
It's an honor and a pleasure.
Right, and another wonder from JT, right?
That's right, that's right. We know each other mutually through JT.
And Ryan.
And Ryan as well,
right.
Which you did a great job, by the way, when you had Ryan on the show.
Well, he did a
Very
great
much
job.
Enjoyed it.
I had fun with him. He's a really nice guy. And he exudes, I think, the same kind of energy, the same positive energy that you exude. And
I think so, and I think that's why me and Ryan connected.
Right.
Like the first time we met even.
Right. You have this aura, but I'll let my audience pick up on it. So I mean, let's briefly talk about, in the beginning of like what you do. I mean, like, why are you here?
So I'll tell you why I'm here.
Yes.
I was at the Bellator fights on Saturday night,
Wow.
and I ran into JT at a party afterwards.
Right.
And he said, Frank, listen, Alan needs a guy on Tuesday. Can I count on you to go? I said, okay, yeah, sure, why not?
Right.
And here we are. So we're here
That's
on
cool.
Tuesday, which is great.
So what type of fight was that?
So Bellator is sort of like the UFC. It is an outside entity that exists. It's MMA,
Right.
But you will see in some instances a lot of like crossover athletes. You may see a guy fight in the UFC and then fight in Bellator, vice versa. Right. And it was at Madison Square Garden to give you kind of an idea what kind of venue this was.
Cool.
And it was a good time. I went with like 7 guys from my gym and a guy that I know from being friends with outside of there, and we had a great time.
So are you into that kind of fighting?
I am. I train now about 5 days a week. My kids do it too. My 2 sons do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
How old are your
twice a week.
sons?
So my older son is 11, and then my younger guy is 9. And then I have a 4-year-old also.
So it's martial arts?
It's martial arts. I mean, me personally, I'm more of a striker. I like the striking, so I do the boxing.
Right.
I'm now starting to get into doing some Muay Thai and doing some MMA. And then a couple of days a week, I do the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because you just need it,
So I did a project with Anthony Bourdain's wife.
Come on, yes, Jiu-Jitsu, yeah.
And she, you know about her.
Yeah.
She's like an ultimate, at least she used to say she was an ultimate fighter.
She'll twist you into a pretzel, man, that girl.
I know. and she's gorgeous, and she looks great. And you see her fight. So you know who I'm talking about.
Yes,
right?
yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Wow, it was crazy.
And that was a great show. That was a great, no reservations, and,
Right.
and then when he did after that, I used to really enjoy that.
Right, but we did something. We were doing. I forgot the name of the show we did, but it was a show. It was really a teaser kind of pilot for a food show. Very similar. It's like the behind the scenes of like a club that's also a restaurant. And it was pretty cool. And Anthony Bourdain was a guest
Who's
star
not
on the
into
show.
that, right?
Yeah, that was
Who's
it.
not into that?
So you're originally from upstate New York? Is that it, or?
I wouldn't say that. If people ask me where I'm from, I tell them that I'm from the Bronx. I think that's where the greater part of my personality comes from. Lived in Wappingers Falls till I was about 10. Right. Then we moved to the Bronx and spent some time there.
And I'm a Bronx boy. So
yeah, right.
I mean, you learn a lot living in the Bronx.
I mean, I lived in Riverdale. Had great friends. It was a great culture.
It's
good food.
I remember there was a pool hall right on Broadway.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, right on the train tracks.
Right.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time there because I told you earlier that my best friend lived on 238th Street in Irwin Avenue.
That's exactly where I'm from, 230th and Review.
That was it. It was great over there.
So we were there for a while, and then we went to Rockland, and then I became an adult, and then went on my own.
So, when did you decide? What was the first gig that led you into the direction that you're working in currently?
So this is how it went down, actually. Okay. I really didn't know anything about money. I didn't know anything about having drive for business. Right. All I knew is that people who own businesses, had to do a lot of work, and they did seemingly well. Especially growing up in the '90s. Right. And I had gotten into a labor union as a bricklayer. Wow. And I was like, 17, 18 years old, and I met this kid, this Greek kid from Astoria. His name was Gus. And this kid was like 21 years old. He had a lot of money. He understood things. He taught me about money. He imparted into me a drive, a desire, a way to see how you can create, how you can serve a market, a niche market, and basically to monetize that. So I really give Gus a lot of credit for speaking into my life at a young age, and that really changed my perspective.
Was he
older than you? He was a couple of years older than me, right. But he knew so much. His father had died, I guess, when he was like 17, left him a business, left him a little bit of an insurance payout, and he invested that money. He turned that money over, and he did quite well for himself, and I'm sure he continues to do well. We're not in touch anymore. But that really sparked drive inside of me to know that I didn't have to go the conventional route, go to college, get a good job, and then the rest will work itself out. I knew right at that point that I wanted to grind it out and build a business because I knew at the end of the day I could write my own check.
So what was your first gig after that?
So my first gig at Gus's suggestion was I opened up a street vendor.
Oh,
so
cool.
he was Greek, right? A lot of Greeks do street vendors. And he led me to a guy. I bought a cart and put it in Manhattan. I ran the cart, did okay, and sold it for a profit and moved on.
I'll tell you, one of my best friends had a lunch car truck, and from that he opened up 2 like auto mechanic shops. He's like, I mean, forget it. He's living the life, and it started all from that lunch truck.
It just compounds, When you're in business for yourself,
Right.
It's hard to go back to anything else. Right. It's hard to work for somebody else. I think, I've heard it said, right, 95% of the world works for 5% of the world.
Right.
And those 5%, those are the people that are willing to take the risk and to put their money up and make business happen, or in some cases use other people's money. If you're really good. Right?
So after that, what was the next step?
So the next step after that is I got into the union iron workers, which was nice. I had come home from the military, and then I met my wife, okay?
Right.
And my wife, I just knew inside of her that she was something special, and she very much is.
Right.
She's the CEO of our current company now, VP Medical Billing Services.
Excellent.
She does a fantastic job. And we just came into agreement together. We just knew that there was a unity there was a drive to get into business together. And, we started to, just put our focus in that direction.
Right.
So I had gotten into the union iron workers, and I was making very good money, and I ended up, putting her through college.
Excellent.
Because her background had been in the medical space, where she was a front desk girl, receptionist, worked her way up to office manager, to billing coordinator, et cetera. And she always had, an owner's mentality. It was never an employee's mentality. Right. So I said, you know what? I believe in you. Let's get you exposed to the full experience of medical billing. I'm going to pay for your college, and we did that. And after she finished college, she got a job at a doctor's office again, doing their medical billing. And we had 2 young children at this time too, so it was a bit of a juggling act. But she got it done, and after a couple of years, I borrowed $10,000 from my annuity, and I said, let's open up our own business.
Cool.
And I opened up our own business, and she ended up leaving that job, and that job that she worked, that doctor actually became our first client. And from there, we just, it was all organic growth, and today we have a beautiful operation. We employ many people, and we have executives, and it's a good thing.
But outsourcing, I work as a CFO of an organization, and a lot of times when you outsource, the people you outsource, if they're good, are going to be as efficient as possible. They're not going to waste anything. Especially time, because time is money. And so I think that if you're good at what you do, and you're a consultant, you work as an outside consultant and a biller, I mean, it's every doctor's dream, I would imagine.
Sure. Well, I recently read a statistic that 95% of physicians surveyed said that outsourcing their medical billing was the right decision. And the reason is because there's tremendous burden in the space outside of providing medical care to handle the administrative care.
Right. I remember I worked at a place called Madison Medical, which I mentioned to you. Right. As soon as I got hired over there, I had to fire 30 billers because of the lack of productivity. And it was just an unbelievable burden to the organization, paying them because they weren't bringing in the money, or at least they weren't able to process the money properly.
So what provides us a measure of accountability, Alan, is that we work on a contingency rate basis. Right. So we only get paid if the doctor gets paid. And the more business that he does, the more, or she does, the more business we do. So, I mean, we work hard. I'm not going to lie to you, we're up till 10, 11 o'clock at night working.
Right, but you're a young man, and you're building a future, so it's
We are, and something that we believe in. We're passionate about it. We have a desire. We want to actually make the system better. We want to improve on the way things are done so that the doctor can then provide a better quality of care to the patient.
Do you have like a office that you work in, or do you work at home?
Oh, yes, okay. I have an office.
Okay, so what about the kids? I mean,
so I have an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 4-year-old. So the 4-year-old's at daycare, pretty much.
Right, that's true. My
he's
kids
like
too.
a 9 to 5 at the daycare. I try to pick him up as early as I can because it's terrible sitting there all day. And then the other 2 guys are like on Minecraft all the time. They're either outside playing, or they're doing their jiu-jitsu, or they're on Minecraft. So they're like self-sufficient.
Well, at least they got the jiu-jitsu, because that's, I think, the discipline that you learn, and the self-esteem that you learn through that is something that you're not going to get on a
I've heard some stories from them. And I won't share those here, but heard some stories from them about how that confidence, comes out when needed.
That's good, and it's going to be good for their future. That's for sure. I have a little niece who has trophies that are bigger than her from her martial arts, and she's like this skinny little thing, but I wouldn't want to cross her path. It's just amazing.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's an 11-year-old girl that does the jiu-jitsu there. Mm-hmm. She's like world champion caliber. She trains with the adults.
Wow.
She's really amazing. And she had a competition recently, and she unfortunately dislocated another little girl's arm.
Oh, God.
So, that was a shame. But, just to show you, like, what people can do when they really focus their discipline and, energies into doing something.
Does the whole family work out?
Yeah.
Your wife as well? Or?
Yeah, we're pretty physically active, Right. We believe in physical fitness and health,
Right.
There are 70,000 codes for basically disease coding in the ICD-10 platform. Right. We don't want to fall under any of those if we can help it, so we try to work out.
I used to run a lot, and I found that really kept my mind, at a certain level. That now that I can't run, unfortunately, because of just the way grinding those joints together. But I always felt that the more I worked out, the more aware I was of things, and
I think so.
And more motivated.
It definitely has a cognitive effect. There's no doubt about it. My day goes tenfold better after I'm done training.
Right. What happens if you don't train that day?
Well, I've been out for the last week. I have a sprained shoulder. I feel good now. I'm going to train tomorrow, but I feel like I'm living on the streets or something. I'm like depressed and stuff. It's like terrible. Like I got to train.
So, how many offices? You have one office.
We have one office. Yes.
Are you thinking of expanding?
So we're actually in the process of doing a capital offering. We're looking to raise $1 million for our company.
Cool.
We have a vision to expand. We think that we can reach into different segments of the market with this money. We have people that are interested in putting up this money, so we haven't made it a public thing yet.
Right.
But we are doing the appropriate filings with the state in terms of making sure the issue is blue sky to whatever. Whoever's in finance will understand what I'm talking about.
Right.
So that we can do this the right way. And we have aspirations to create our own software. We have aspirations to create a field representative team. And we want to do the right thing in this space. I just read an article on CNBC today,
Yes.
And they said that the errors in the medical billing space are in some cases 75 to 80% of all claims that are submitted have errors on them.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. We don't operate like that. Right. That does not happen in our office. We create a systematic process so that we eliminate that because the doctors cannot wait to get paid. They need to be paid right away.
Right. That was the issue at Madison Medical. We just couldn't get reimbursed because of errors. Continue for a second.
Listen, I'll say this. It's our vision to steward this field because we do not want the quality of care to change in America.
Right.
We're thankful for the quality of care that we do have here. And the administrative burden that is placed on physicians today it's going to cause that care to lag eventually. I think they're predicting doctor shortages in the next few years, and things are going to happen. So we really feel an obligation to step up to make sure that we're doing everything we can.
But they are projecting things like 20% increase next year, and at least that's what it says, and 10% in terms of how much bill. What causes what do you think the causes those 20% increases and things like that?
In terms of cost of medical care?
Do you think a lot of it is related to billing?
Well, think about any business, right? You are a CFO. Any business where you have to incur costs, you pass the cost on to the consumer.
Right.
With the doctors, in their case, they have to pay for malpractice. They have to pay for labor. They have to pay for software. Software is very expensive, by the way. They have to pay for medical billing service, which really is small compared to some of the other things that they're paying.
Now I remember what I wanted to ask. Basically, like a very smart man who was the chairman of the board of an organization I used to be the head finance guy in a couple of years ago, said the most important thing in an organization is people. That's it.
Definitely.
That's people.
No
the
doubt
three
about
most important. So the question I have for you is, how do you choose the person? Because the whole thing is hiring is like one of the most important things, right?
It's
because
not easy.
It's very difficult. And how can you spot someone who is a person that would meet or has that spark? Or are you ever fooled or whatever?
Yes.
That's
We've been very fortunate. We have not had to get rid of anybody that we've hired.
Right.
We opened our doors in 2010, and we have some great people. Right. One of the people that works with us is my wife's sister, and my friend's wife works with us, and some other people that we went through a more traditional candidate hiring process. And like I said, we've been fortunate. One thing that I will say now that we do is we insist that they are certified to code and to bill, because that says a lot, you know, that you've taken the initiative to go out there and to educate yourself so that you can, you know,
But could you teach someone to be like you? I mean, to be hungry?
We try. We definitely try.
So you think that's a talent that could be learned, or do you think it's a talent that's innate?
Listen, it's our job to set a standard.
Right.
Okay, it's our job to create a culture inside of our company.
Right.
Myself, my wife, and our executive, who I mentioned to you earlier, Kathleen Wilson, 3 decades on Wall Street, 20 years at Oppenheimer, head of capital markets, was involved in taking many companies public, including the Facebook IPO, et cetera.
Excellent.
Incredible woman. She has come on board with us recently, and she has helped us create a culture in the office where everybody is striving each day to become better at what they're doing.
But when you get that $1 million influx of capital, you're going to have to bring more people in.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
So where are you going to find them?
We'll find them.
Okay.
We will find them. You know, we'll use the power of the money to make sure that happens.
Because you do have to pay.
Want the best
That's the
people
one
in
thing.
there.
You have to pay. That's one thing I learned also, like
That's
in
okay.
fundraising, and because I work for a not-for-profit.
Yeah.
If you don't pay for fundraising,
Well,
you're not going to get the best fundraiser.
That's right. That's
right.
right. You know, and I had a bit of a Wall Street background too, and you would see it all the time. Guys would get traded from firm to firm like they were athletes.
Right.
You know, $50,000 bonus here, $100,000 bonus here, you know, whatever.
Right.
You know, so sometimes you have to pay for that, but what do you get in return? Hopefully, you're getting a great resource.
So, is this something you think you could franchise, or is this when you say you're opening up? When you get this money coming in, is it going to be centrally located, or what's your dream?
So this money is going to come in tranches, and we're going to deploy this money, you know, over a period of 12 to 36 months.
So you already have the plan.
The plan is completed. It's already in the lawyer's hands at this point.
That's awesome.
And you know, we do not want $1 million deposited in our account and say get to work. We want this in pieces, because we want to lay this out, you know, in a systematic way, and which is how we do all of our business, in a systematic way, you know, and. You know, it's our vision to gain more market share and be able to tap into new markets, you know, hospitals, things like that.
Is your software that you're using something that you created, or is it something that you
Not
use?
currently, no. We use many different softwares, and that's one of the strengths of our company, is that if an office, a doctor's office, has made an investment in software, we will learn your software, we will use your software, and we'll make it happen. But from doing that and working with many different specialties, we know what software is better, what works and what doesn't, and we want to work with a software developer to create our own.
So the other question is, well, I guess some software, you know, is it the software, or is it the person? I mean, so what you're saying, it's the person behind the software.
Well, you know, there's a lot that happens in the software, and you need to be able to access information on demand.
Right.
You wouldn't, you would know, because you're CFO, how many reports that you would like to generate, or what is the quickest way to get from A to B, you know, or A to Z in that case, to get a claim
How to get that
done.
Information out of the database.
You know, and one of the things that we do, Alan, is the strength of Kathleen Wilson with our company is we offer amazing analytics to our clients.
Cool.
When we put it on their table, they're always like, whoa. So that feels good. We like to be able to do that. And year over year, we've done better in a shrinking market, you know, so to speak, where reimbursements are lower, you know, in a lot of cases. We've been able to make our clients more profitable.
Well, you know, I wish you luck with that.
Thank you.
What do you do in your spare time? I mean, it seems like but I guess when you're an entrepreneur like yourself, you live, you drink, you sleep, you're always thinking about the business, right? Is that the way it is?
Exactly.
So there's no, do you ever envision a time when you're going to be able to put it to the side and like enjoy life?
Well, I will tell you this.
Yes.
It's important to me that I have the right perspective in life. And when I put my kids to sleep at night, sometimes when I look at them, I almost feel bad, like, oh my God, you know, I missed 5 minutes out of their day that, you know, like I should have been there, you know? And so I started to notice that, you know, within the last couple of years, and I've tried to remedy that. And I try to spend, you know, as much time as I can with them, even if it's just a little discussion to throw the ball around, or, you know, to do some art with them, or to just hear their stories.
That's great.
You know, I mean, like, listen, we do all the family stuff. We go to church as a family. We eat together.
That's wonderful.
You know, that's important to me. You know, I just recently took them on a camping trip. We vacationed together. Family's important, right? Food is important. When we sit at that table and we have, you know, our extended family come, we commune.
That's great.
And we eat and we talk and we drink wine.
So you're living. It sounds like you're living life the right way. I mean, from an outsider looking in, that's awesome, man.
Try to keep it clean, you know. You know, life is short, you know, and like, you know, there's very few things, like if you do make a mistake that one can't recover from.
That's true.
But you try to avoid that, you know, you try to do things the right way. I'm 32 years old now, you know.
Yeah.
I've been on my own since I'm about 14.
Wow.
You know, when I was a young guy, I kind of got in some trouble, and, you know, I
Things
didn't go the
happen.
traditional route, Alan. I
Right.
didn't. But I was fortunate enough to have people in my life that cared about me, that spoke into my life, believed in me. And, you know, as a result, man, I look to those people now, you know, I thank them. And I try to do the same. Right. For younger people, I always try to speak wisdom to them, try to, you know, lift them up if I can.
I think your kids are going to be they're very fortunate to have a dad like you.
Well, thank
and
you.
I think that, and someone who's, you know, like, obviously, I mean, it sounds like you have a great relationship with your wife.
Thank God.
It sounds like the children.
13 years married.
It's fantastic. And the kids they're going to, like, even now, like my son, for Father's Day, was saying that he loves the idea that I work so hard, but I also find time for things like this, you know, like, and he wants to be able to do that. So to model for your kids, at least in a positive way, and you're obviously doing that. I mean, when your kids see how successful you are, how motivated you are, it's going to only be helpful for them in the future.
And you know what I try to do too, Alan, is because listen, they don't get this in school. They don't get the education about how to balance a checkbook or how to start a business or own a business.
Right.
So what I'll do with them is, you know, we'll be driving or something like that, and you know, we'll see something that's interesting in a business sense, and I will walk them through an exercise on how to monetize an opportunity, and it blows my mind that they're able to do that. And some of the stuff that they tell me, I'm like, oh, that's actually a good idea. I should look into that. You know, my kids are coming to me on a regular basis. Dad, do you know if you have X million number of subscribers on YouTube, you'll make this much money a month? I'm like, you're 9. How do you know that?
But it's good that you're
know?
listening, because a lot of times I think, you know, parents are so caught up in what they're doing that they miss those opportunities to really converse with their kids.
Yeah, the culture here has changed a lot over the years. It used to be one parent could work and you had more time for your family. Now it's like both parents have to work, and it's tough. But, you know, we got to make time, Alan.
But the other thing is, though, the opposite of that is the fact that in the old days, there was one parent working because that was just the norm of how people were. Like a man would go to work and a woman would stay home. And now it's a different world where you know, everyone is it's an equal opportunity world, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting towards that.
I think people were content living with less too.
That's
you know,
true.
I think people want more today in terms of material, vacations, you know, the nice car, which, you know, if you want that, you have to work for it,
That's
right?
it.
You know?
But do you do it for the money?
No.
Okay, so
No.
what's your motivating factor? What motivates you? What's the thing that, you know, when you wake up in the morning, I say, is it going to be, man, I want to make that $1 million?
You know what motivates me, Alan? People are created for greatness.
Right.
Whatever that may be. Everybody's created for greatness in their own way.
Right.
You know, and I know what mine is. And you can feel it inside you. It's a passion. It's a burning desire. You can see it. It's a vision. And it's nice when you can get together with somebody who's like-minded and you can work on a project in a joint venture capacity.
Right.
And together that energy, I'm not saying this in a philosophical way, I'm just saying it as it is.
Right.
That energy put together, you can actually produce. And fruit comes as a result of that. Objectives are accomplished. And then money is only the byproduct of that success.
Right. And the thing is, if that feeling and those motivations weren't there, the money wouldn't come. I mean, it's because there's also a certain positivity that comes out of you is undeniable.
I'm a half full kind of guy. I'm not a half empty kind of guy.
Right.
You know, I'll always strive to do better, you know, and look at every opportunity like, all right, here's the next shot. That's why I like the fighting, okay? That's why I like the fighting, because for me it's a positive outlet.
Now, when you're fighting, I mean, do you ever get in a situation where you know that, do you ever hold back at all in terms of, like, you know you're going to hurt this guy, so you just don't hit him?
So I mean, where I'm at with my fighting now is I have not competed, you know, in an amateur fight or a competition for that matter. However, I do plan to compete in August. I want to compete in a jiu-jitsu competition, and hopefully before the end of the year, I'd like to try to compete in like a kickboxing tournament or a Muay Thai tournament. I think it's exciting. I think the exchange that takes place there is beautiful. It's a sport. It's sanctioned. It's like a good thing.
Right.
And I believe that the heart of a champion, you know, like I feel like I have the heart of a champion. I'm not saying I'm a pro fighter. I'm Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm not calling anybody out. Nothing like that. All I'm saying is that it's something inside of you that you feel where you want to release it. Like if I watch the movie Braveheart, you know, or whatever, you know, like William Wallace or something like that, I'm like inspired. You know, and for me, you know, fighters inspire me.
But if you had the opportunity to fight would you? I mean, and you knew that you had it won. Would you? I wonder how fighters, would they go that extra?
I mean, listen, I mean, we spar every day, and we spar hard, and I try to go with some of the best people. Like, my main coach is Hector Iglesias. He's the ECF champion, K1 bantamweight champion. He's awesome. I love to go with him. And you know what? He pushes me, and he goes harder and harder each time. Now, I'm a big guy, okay? And he's a smaller guy, but he's fast, and he's quick, and he's there.
And he's professional.
And he's professional, and it makes me better. And then our club is full of great guys, you know?
What does your wife think about it?
Do you think I do it a little too much?
Right. I hope you don't mind me. No, because that would be the thing. I'm afraid that I would be.
You know what? You get over it. You have to confront your fears, because everybody's naturally nervous. Oh man, I'm gonna get punched in the face. But after a while, man, when your adrenaline's going, when you're trained,
you don't feel it.
You don't feel it. You're just.
It's sort of like
there.
acting. Like it could be freezing outside, and your adrenaline is going. You don't realize it's freezing.
You're in the zone. You're in the zone, and it's a beautiful thing to get out of the way of a punch, and then to come back and land one.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's like a beautiful thing, Alan.
Right. I had a cousin, may he rest in peace, very, very successful filmmaker and lawyer, attorney, and his whole life he wanted to be a boxer, and he used to watch. I mean, it just seemed like it was so weird to me that because he was such a like an intellectual dude, but the whole thing he wanted to do in life was, I mean, he just loved watching boxing.
It's a beautiful thing. It's warrior sport. In today's society, everything is toned down, right? People can't be that warrior that they were in the 1500s or something like that. But that exists inside of people. And people want to step up and they want to exude that energy.
And it's real, though. It's not, I mean, like, because I guess, like wrestling or whatever, some of these other things.
No, fighting is real. People get hurt, But I think you're more likely to get hurt playing football, actually. Right. You know what I mean? And
definitely concussions and things
there's
like
a mutual
that,
respect. I mean, I haven't come across anybody personally that is looking to hurt anybody. Right. It's you go in there, you get the job done, and
I see, and then they
shake hands and hug, right?
That's
like a positive thing, right? And I respect that. And some of the most respectful people I've ever met are fighters.
And it's an unbelievable workout, right? I would imagine it's like there's nothing like it. I mean, that's probably like a total body workout.
Let me tell you, I told you I had served in the military. I had lifted for a while. Like I was always working out. My lung capacity, my ability to move and react and to be places and to move on my toes, like never before. Never before. And I was a smoker and everything else. I'm like, I feel great.
And you wouldn't pick up a cigarette again now, right?
No.
No, I think that the more you work out, the less you want to do damage to your body. I think. I used to be a runner. The last thing in the world. I mean, I would drink water. I mean, water to me tasted so sweet after a workout.
But you know how it is. If you get hurt or you get sick, how long does it take you to heal? Right. And you're like, oh man, I'm getting old, or this sucks. I'm going to be more careful next time. Right. So as you get a little bit older and wiser, right? You kind of take care of yourself a little more. I think.
Right. It is true. So but you got to do. But I think you have to in life. You have to embrace the moment. You know what I mean? And
yes.
And you have to. I mean, because you only live once, and a person who's old realizes that. That's the whole thing. As you get older, you realize that time passes. And unfortunately, time always passes so quickly, especially with shows like this. And really, there's just one thing left to say. That's a wrap. Good night, folks.